Welcome everybody on Facebook, catching us here for the Alive Attractions and Industry Chat. Again, this is our third show, and if anybody has a better name or something a little bit shorter and snappier, I'm welcome to hear it. Stick it in the comments below. Before I introduce our distinguished guests, please share this video and to places that maybe we're not reaching, or people that may benefit from the information and questions that we're going to field and talk about. It really helps, and get this conversation going. This whole series has been about bringing the whole attractions industry together, but also providing a platform for the community to talk to each other and realize that we're in this together, and we've got to find solutions and find information sources, that are reliable. We've got a couple, well, we've got more than a couple. We've had a fantastic response to these shows and who wants to be involved. We have an FEC specific show coming up next week. I'm just finalizing the third guest, but we've got award-winning FEC owners from different sectors and different parts of the world that can help anybody that deals with indoor play and give some advice on what they're doing and how they're mitigating the circumstance. But equally, this show's about you guys. So if there's anything that you want to know, or you want us to talk about anything, or you think there should be somebody on here talking with us, then stick it in the comments below, and we'll talk about it. But let's get on to today, I guess. Please welcome Rob, Craig, and Kevin. This show's a bit more of a party rental specific edition, but there are lessons for everybody to be learned in here. For those that don't know, Rob owns and operates ERS, Event Rental Systems. Craig Colling with Ascentium, based off your capital and finance needs. And Kevin Weiging is from Ultrasound Special Events in Ohio. Years of operation. We've got another guest as well. Fantastic. Rob, welcome to the show. Introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm daughter of this one. Nice to meet you.
There we go.
Beautiful.
From home during this time.
It's a challenge for all of us, suddenly adapting to working from home and talking into microphones. So, Rob, for people that don't know you, take it away.
All right, I'll start. Let's see, I own Event Rental Systems. We've been in business for about 11 years, and we support online. We provide online shopping and rentals for the event rental industry. So we're providing the website and the ordering system, the business systems, marketing for event rental companies. And I believe we are the industry leader. We've got around 1,400 customers now worldwide. And we're weathering the storm along with everybody else. Yeah.
Fantastic. Craig, you're the guy with the money, apparently. So introduce yourself and let us know your background and a bit about Ascentium Capital.
Yeah, thanks for having me, and Rob, Kevin, great to meet you today as well. Mike, you and I go back. And to be clear, it's not my money personally. Ascentium Capital, we've been in operation since 2011. Prior to that, I was actually with Equipment Lease Brokerage for 10 years prior. So I've been in the industry. This is going on my 19th year in equipment financing. Brief background on Ascentium. As of last year, we were the largest privately held equipment finance provider in the United States. Finance over $1 billion a year in equipment finance transactions. Obviously, we're involved in FEC and amusement rental, but a variety of other industries. We finance manufacturing, medical, construction, transportation. So pretty well diverse in the type of equipment we finance. But my role is managing a vendor finance team out of Scottsdale, Arizona. That's where I'm based. Our corporate's out of Houston, Texas. Mike and I go back many years. I've been involved in financing your industry for about a decade. We exhibit at IAAPA every year and getting more and more involved through partnerships with companies like Galaxy America. We actually, this is really unique to share. In the last 30 days, we were just acquired by Regions Bank, a publicly traded bank in Alabama, which is actually a great thing. Prior, up until a month ago, we were private equity, but it's going to lower our cost of funds even further. And we are operating independently as Ascentium Capital. My shirt still says Ascentium Capital, not Regions Bank. So they acquired us for our technology and our systems, and it just lowers our borrowing costs. So now cost will be less for our clients. I'll share a little bit more about the company. What really differentiates us in the marketplace is technology and speed. Every lender you talk to will say our rates are good, our programs are good, and that's all true. Our speed of doing business typically differentiates us. Our ability to take a client's application at 9 in the morning for up to $150,000 and approve the client within an hour, and then document through DocuSign and fund your supplier within 2 hours after that. I think that's the biggest thing that differentiates us. There's other things, but I'll focus on that for this introduction. And then we'll talk about some unique programs later in the discussion that can help clients in this tough economic time, specifically our ability to defer payments, whether you're a new client or existing client. So fantastic. I live and work in Scottsdale, Arizona. Married with 2 kids. Busy life. That's a little bit about me.
The full lowdown. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Kevin, Kevin, you've been a customer for many years, and well, certainly to me, a respected figurehead in the industry. For those that don't know you, introduce yourself.
Well, I'm probably a lot like a lot of the people out there right now, in business. I'm an owner, I'm an operator, 30 years experience. We started in 1990, a little bit of experience. This has never been, in the last 30 years, never anything that I've dealt with before either. So just kind of trying to figure things out. The difficult situation that I think we're all faced with is, when is this going to be over with? When can we project business as usual again? And, up until, probably 3 weeks ago, we were projecting best year ever. Had a great book of business put together where, we had the reservations already in the books. All we need to do is do them. And unfortunately, when you take the people out of the event business, events don't happen, and it's beyond your control. There's nothing you can do about it, but you just respond and try to move forward. I'm based in Ohio. My company is Ultrasound Special Events. Our website is ultraparty.com. Again, you'll probably see the website a lot like your website if you're an owner operator. We also have diversified with a couple other brands. We have the Kangaroo Cave, which is an indoor FEC bounce facility. We also have the Axe Cave, which is an indoor axe throwing facility. And then this year, I was the first time exhibitor with Rebound Unlimited as our sales representatives at IAAPA, manufacturing some of the axe trailers, and I've sent some of those out. Projected, like I said, to be the best year ever, and then the bottom falls out, and then you're left with the questions: how are we going to make things work out? When's this going to end? And then how do we make adjustments to respond to that? We also, if you're interested in developments in Ohio with the coronavirus, you can go to Facebook page, which is Ohio Inflatable Operators Association. We do daily updates from the governor's briefing at 2 o'clock. We summarize what was said, the new mandates, whether it's shelter in place, closing of schools. We're pretty much all in right now with everything happening here. I still look at some of the forums and some of the groups and some of the things posted, and it's like, hey, I've got my first cancellation, just as, last night, it's coming. If you don't have every other email a cancellation, or looking at your software saying, we deal with more cancellations now than we do reservations, unfortunately. And they're projecting now the peak of coronavirus to, be sometime mid-May, based on the governor's just press conference I just got off of a little bit ago. And so mid-May, we're peaking. Then you have recovery from then on out. You know,
Right.
my goal as an operator is how do I preserve enough cash to make it through that time? We have 13 people working within our company. We are full time. This is what we do. You know, how do we get to the other side?
Right. And I've just posted the link for your Ohio Inflatable Operators Association. It's in the chat there below. So if anybody's interested in checking that out, and you know, one of the reasons that we wanted you on the show is that you tick a lot of boxes, Kevin. You know, operator, manufacturer, indoor play, and trying to bring the industry together. Certainly, on a state level in Ohio, I think there's maybe a chat for another time, but lessons that other operators in different states can work on, you know, so they can fight, you know, for their rights as a group rather than just a bunch of individuals. I wanted to kind of check the temperatures, but maybe a bit insensitive for to see where we're at. Trying to keep this lighthearted, but trying to see where we're all at, and obviously this affects all of us, and it's a global issue. But I mean, Rob, how from day-to-day operations? I mean, obviously we've seen your daughter and your dog in the background. How, apart from us all working at home, how is this affecting you?
I start on our operations. I mean, we pretty much mothballed everything. We have a stay-at-home order till April 6th. Everybody's, you know, either working remotely. We do have our essential staff retained to do the administrative functions of our business. You know, customer service as far as working with customers, and we're just maintaining day to day. I've been seeing the questions: do we try to promote backyard business? Do we try to promote, you know, other things to keep business afloat? You know, honestly, you know, we pretty much shut down. We've got the shelter in place or stay-at-home order, you know, whatever vocabulary you want to use. And, you know, just look at the news. I mean, when this rolled in, I'm like, this is crap. This is not going to last. They're shutting us down. You know, it's frustrating. And I think that was more so what I was feeling was frustration. And then you know, kind of watch the statistics, watch the news, which I hate watching, you know, mainstream media news. But, you know, it's real life. And if people are dying, you know, it's a serious situation. And I think we owe it to ourselves to shut down for a couple weeks, assess where we're at, you know, get this thing under control, because it's only going to prolong it if we don't get things under control. And try to preserve cash, try to be good to your people, preserve your people, build them up. And I've made 2 or 3 phone calls probably daily to people in the industry that I know and saying, hey, how are you doing? How are you doing in Myrtle Beach? How are you doing in Tennessee? How are you doing in Florida? You know, and, you know, building people up. One of the things I unfortunately have saw in the forums or the groups is maybe individuals getting attacked personally. And I've maybe stepped up and defended a couple. I mean, Rob, I know there was a bad thing posted about you, not necessarily bad, but, you know, just, you know, hey, can you help me out? And everybody's trying to help out. You know, we're trying to defer payments. We're trying to skip payments, you know, but everybody's got to be in this together. I know Larry Cosio was attacked, you know, the other day about not being able to do something, you know, but, you know, take those things to Larry Cosio, take those things to Rob, take those things to Craig, you know, talk to them and say, hey, what can you do for me? Every situation is different. We all got to stay in business, and I hope we all make it to the other side.
Yeah, I think that's an important point to touch upon, is that everybody, and I mean everybody, is stressed at this point. And I'd even include kids in that. You know, they don't fully understand the gravity of what's going on, and they're stuck at home, and they don't get why they can't go out and just see their friends, even if it's a next door neighbor or something like that. And so as businesses, we need to be conscious that our customers are stressed, but equally that we're also stressed. I mean, Rob, how are things with you? And, you know, obviously you're an online based platform, but, you know, there's real people behind that.
Yeah, we've got a staff of 17, and we were actually in the process of, in fact, we had just finished building some soundproofing things in the office because we were actually running out of space in our office. And I had several new hires in process. And we were just, for those of you watching that don't know, we were acquired about 18 months ago by a merchant processing company called Full Steam. And you know, they have, I don't know the exact count, but 25 companies plus or minus that they've acquired in the last year. And several of them are being completely shut down, like a ticketing company. In fact, they're in our same city. You know, their income is based on a percentage of ticket sales for large events, and all the events have been canceled. So they literally have this big staff, big office, and suddenly zero income. It's not just reduced, it's zero. And so as a global initiative, we're all having to do cutbacks, hiring freezes, payroll reductions, all sorts of stuff just to keep things going. So, you know, what we're doing is we happen to be in a unique position that we have a great team of developers. So in the last couple of weeks, we introduced some online gift card features, and today we rolled out a grocery shopping app feature in our system. So for those that are trying to keep cash flow coming in, they can do an email blast. We actually gave away the mass email feature that we normally charge for. So you can do an email blast, and you know, we introduced that email blast with the gift cards, and we did it in the evening is when we introduced it, and by the next morning we saw that our system had taken $6,000 worth of gift card sales over the night. So it's working for those that are actually using that. And then the grocery app, you know, it's going to help some people. Some people either don't have the ability to make that work, or it's not right for them. I don't think that there is a magic bullet in this situation, but we're doing what we can.
Just excuse my ignorance, Rob. How does that work? The grocery list app. So I may be up.
That's right. Well, you know, the way we were approaching it is, and it came up in some of our video conferences, is, you know, with the resources that you have, how can you continue to make money if a backyard party is out of the option, off the table, right? So how can you use trucks and drivers and or a website or your current customer list to generate income somehow? So some of our customers have tents, so it makes sense to set up tents as medical testing facilities. If you have connections with local hospitals or Walgreens or CVS where they're doing these tests. My wife happens to work for Walgreens, so I know that the CDC is partnering with Walgreens to do testing in their parking lots, and they're going to need tents for those kinds of things. So, so we looked at that. And then we said, okay, so what do we do with the trucks? I mean, for years I've been saying, hey, we have some very innovative customers, some that during the week, you know, it's mostly a weekend party event industry. So what do you do with your trucks during the week? You could deliver furniture for companies that assemble furniture and then need it delivered. You could offer a moving company service, which some of our customers have actually done. So in this time, we're trying to be more creative and saying, okay, so what needs to happen? And what we're seeing is things like Instacart and Walmart with their shopping pickup and or their delivery services, they're all backed up because everybody is trying to get everything delivered and not go in public. So what we did is we made a one-page checkout where people just put in a wish list of everything that they want. Super simple. We didn't have time to build out a full-fledged app, obviously. We did this in a week. But it allows them to put in a wish list and whether or not they want substitutions or not. and where they want you to shop. And depending on how you want to set it up, you can charge an hourly rate, you can charge a flat fee for a delivery.
Right.
One of our customers is just charging a straight $75, and we'll do all the shopping and deliver it for that $75.
Yeah, I hadn't heard of that, so I love the ingenuity and how people are. Obviously, we've seen people with tents. We are going to do the Q&A at the end, although Abe has just popped up there with it's kind of relevant to answer now. He said, who would rent their tents out now and then rent them back to customers? I think the inference there is that, you're using it as a medical tent and then back to, Kevin, do you want to answer that one? I've got my own opinion, but I'm going to try not answer my own questions.
Well, I mean, yes, we do also provide tent rental and things too, and we're looking for some of those events. We have a few things out right now and stuff too, but for the most part, our business has come to a halt. Your rental income from that over the sustained rental, in my opinion, is going to cover the cost of your tent anyway. One of the things that I'm trying to avoid is just kind of take a step back and not maybe do things out of desperation, but take a step back, assess the situation. We have that moving date of we don't know when it's going to be over, so just be a resource to your clients and do your marketing as maybe not necessarily all at once, grasping for the end of the rope, but a drip marketing approach of just staying in front of people. Right. Everybody says, hey, we clean our games. I was watching Jimmy Fallon the other day, Jimmy Fallon at night, and it's like, if I see one more COVID-19 email alert, I'm going to go nuts, because every email that's coming is spamming you now, because somebody rented some tables and chairs from us, and we went back and got their email from 1993 to send this mass email marketing efforts out to everybody that we've ever done business with. And maybe those people are 10 years ago and don't even exist, or just have forgotten about us. Look forward with the companies you're working with now. We have a wholesale linen. We're working with, civic centers and hotels, and everybody shut down. So we've pretty much just gave that phone call to the banquet directors or whoever and said, how can we help? We're not doing any business. We don't expect to do any business. Is there anything we can help you with? So, and hang in there, be that reassurant voice of an optimism, and and it's tough, and I'm glad people reached out to me too and said, hey, it's okay, Kevin, because you'll make it through to the other side too, because I have my doubts sometimes too, unfortunately. So
we all do. I think to just touch upon that a little bit more, I think he's worried that if your tents are being seen rented as medical tents, then are you going to be able to use those same tents for weddings? And although we know that the virus, we know very little about the virus, to be honest, but what we do know is that it will live on inanimate surfaces like plastic and steel. They should be really easy to clean, tents, more so than inflatables or any other kind of game. So unless I'm horribly wrong, I wouldn't have that as a main concern. And the people that see that you're renting them out as medical testing facilities, it should be a huge marketing thing for you, that you became essential workers. I know there's lots of memes flying around the internet at the moment about being essential or non-essential. I wouldn't worry about that, Abe.
I don't think, if you're not in the tent business, you're not going to jump into that market right away anyway. No. If you're not prepared for it, you're behind the curve. So if you've got frame tents, if you've got, and you're anchoring, whether you're on concrete or blacktop or whatever the surface may be, understand these are going to be sustained rentals for multiple weeks at a time. And it's not just dropping it off and coming back to pick it up. There's going to be a lot of work to that above and beyond an overnight rental or a weekend rental, for that matter. If you're not equipped for it, it's probably not an option for you to consider anyways.
Correct.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. It's for the people that do tents. You don't want to try to learn that on the fly. It's that would be ill-advised.
It is a skill how to do it efficiently and correctly and safely. Yeah, I've known that from my own experience. Craig, obviously this affects every company in the world, but it affects everybody differently. I imagine that your call volume has been through the roof, and you've had to deal with a lot of anxious and nervous people. What's been your experience so far, and what can you share with us?
Yeah, no, I'm happy to share how it's affecting our whole business, our office here. So for all of us personally, it's just kind of I'll just share quickly. Personally, it was a couple of weeks ago, I'm like, this is going to blow over. This is just a media, hubbub. And then now, no, this is really serious. And it's impacting us personally, our families, our businesses. I know I'm in the lending business. If you're not in the lending business, you're like, oh, the big bad banks, they don't need help. We're not seeking financial help. We're the actual funding source. But I will share, I have competitors that I'm friends with that are brokers, right? They're not the actual funding source, and they're having to let go of employees and not having revenue come in. So it is impacting our industry, financial services industry, as businesses, right? We're us, Ascentium, as an actual funding source. Thankfully, we haven't had to we have over 400 employees across the country. We're not letting anyone go, thank goodness. But obviously, we're expecting loan and finance volume to decrease dramatically over the next 3 to 6 months, and prepare for that. And also, more importantly, how do you help new customers that need equipment, essential equipment, to still grow their business, regardless of the economic and times and the virus that's impacting all of us, but also existing clients who we value and want to continue not only having a good relationship, but help them grow their business. How do you handle that? So I'm on the management side of our company too, not just in a direct sales role. So I've been on the last couple of weeks helping navigate that with our team, and we have created real solutions. One that Galaxy America is very aware of, because we offer it a lot to their new clientele, new clients acquiring equipment, is zero money down. So as opposed to traditional bank financing that would typically require 10 or 20% down, we have a program that we've offered through Galaxy and some other manufacturers across the country. They pay nothing up front, and then first up to 6 months of the contract, essentially no payments. We have to charge something to make it contractual, so we chose $29 as an insignificant amount of money. If you're buying a $100,000 order, and normal payments are, pick a number, $1,200 a month. Right. $29 is obviously insignificant. And although that may sound hokey, it actually helps a lot of people. They get the equipment delivered, installed, trained, and then not having to pay us back until month 7, especially in this current times.
Well, it means your equipment's paying for itself. Those 3-6 months, whatever you've got, it's certainly in our side of the industry, that equipment is making money. So you're starting, you're not from a standing start, that you're rolling forward. Sorry.
No, I'm glad you please interject. First off, I need all the help I can get, but all comments are good.
Yeah, Craig, one question I maybe have as well too is, and I know it just popped up on the comments and stuff too. As a lender, I mean, we've talked with some of our banks and our financial people we're involved with, and just looking for solutions. And every situation, I realize, is different. But do you provide some options, or what would you advise? Not to me specifically or anyone, but if it's an opportunity of deferring payments, is that available, or is there an interest-only payment? Which one do you see as most value for a person that's going through this? And I guess, what solutions would you recommend as a financial professional to someone deferring payments, or making interest-only payments? And
yes, that's a great question. So it really depends on the specific lender, and every lender has different nuances. But I'll cover it. I'll cover both existing clients and new clients that are seeking financing today, to give you kind of both sides of the picture. First off, the main question to ask your lender is, if you offer me a deferment now or in the future, is interest compounding? Am I paying more interest, or are you truly giving me call it a payment vacation, right? Or and that's very important. And obviously, and I'm proud to represent Ascendium, we're doing it, I believe, the right way. Other than the $29 a month, there's not other interest compounding. There's no gotcha clauses. So for our contracts, when we start today, for the first 6 months, it's 29 times 6. Last time I checked is $174. So that's literally the only additional fee they're paying outside of their the normal financial contract. What we're doing for existing clients, and this is important to share, and I hope other equipment finance groups are doing this. I'm sure most are. And then there's also an SBA option as well, which I'll share with the group. For our existing clients, we have to understand their circumstance. So let's say, Kevin, let's say you were a client from a year ago that you financed $50,000 in equipment. You call or email and say, "Hey, Craig and Ascendium, I'm in a bind. My business is because of COVID-19 or et cetera," which we're all sensitive to. We're having each and every client, and we're receiving hundreds a day right now. We have over 100,000 clients nationwide. So as you can imagine, we're having a tremendous influx of these inquiries. And we've actually created a task force at our corporate office to handle them one by one. And we're getting back to most clients within 2 to 3 days, obviously before their next billing cycle. We're having them provide a letter or email, explaining their circumstance, and we're looking at their last 3 months' bank statements. To be blunt and honest, if someone's doing well financially on paper today, we're saying, "Hey, right now you have $50,000 in your account. We're going to not agree to a deferment today, but if your situation goes the wrong way, then and they can check back every month, we will then immediately offer a deferment." I'm typically seeing a deferment up to 3 to 6 months at the $29 a month. So they do have to qualify, right? Which, not to disparage any one person, but if someone is doing well financially, well, then you're taking advantage of the situation as opposed to really having a hardship. Just to give you,
that's kind of like slightly prioritizing a way of organizing your clients, Craig. I'd never thought of it the way that you described it, but at the moment, people are rolling into their season, and some people are going to be worse off than others, and some people are going to be better off. We're all going to hurt from this, but at what stage you're going to hurt, I think. So for some of those clients in 2-3 months time, I guess you guys will still be taking those similar calls.
Correct. And we're actually encouraging the clients that are still out of 100, I've seen, 70 out of 100 are qualifying. So we're, as you said it perfectly, if someone's really hurting, those are the ones take precedence over the ones that are doing fine financially, at least on paper. But I told a client yesterday, actually, not today, it was yesterday, check back on April 1st, which is in a few days, right? You're going to get your next bank statement for March. And if we see a drop in your revenues, clearly, sure, we're going to, so we're not saying, no, you're declined for deferment and no, don't call us back. We're saying, call us back. Let's just see your next, let's check back in your next month's banks and see where you're at. So we take it very seriously. I mean, Kevin, Rob, Mike, we're all, these are all our clients and mutual, colleagues. And when you're in this business for the long haul, developing hopefully long-term relationships, the last thing you want to do is try to burn a bridge in this circumstance. You want to help out as many people as you can, do the right thing ethically. So then when things are normal, they want to do business with us again because we were there in the tough time. So it's definitely complicated. When someone calls in, it's not my decision if they qualify or not. I've got to gather the data, send it to corporate, and then essentially be the go-between. So it's
but you're a finance company, Craig. So numbers are the loudest currency in your business. So that to me it makes sense. So I mean, I just guess would encourage people to manage their finances and reevaluate every time that because this is not going to end not even in 4 weeks, unfortunately. I hate to break that to everyone. If people are still following or towing the party line that we're going to be back, the world's going to be back to normal on April 19th, it's just not going to happen. So please buckle up. We as Galaxy, we're a global company, and I have customers in Asia and Europe and the UK, and I've heard the stories. This is going to touch on a couple of things, but as a marketing effort, there's not a lot you can do at the moment. You can't push and offer discounts because you're just pushing the pain further down the tracks, and you're gonna. I guess I can say what I want. It's my show. You're going to piss people off. And, you know, we as Galaxy, you guys have realized we haven't sent out an email saying, this is our response to COVID-19. We just want to let you know that, granted, I'm in my kitchen, but we're still working. We've still got projects going ahead. I'm more busy than I ever have been. I'm still designing inflatable parks. And we all need to take this seriously. Before I sidetrack myself, Rob, I mean, you kind of fall into a similar category as Craig, and you know, you guys, I assume, I don't have a rental company, so I'm not an ERS user, but I imagine that you use a subscription-based system. And what are you guys doing when, you know, same kind of thing in terms of referrals?
Sure. So I think that there's there's different camps here. So there are some people that believe that because we're backed by a huge company that we have money for days and we can just ignore payments for a few months. And it's just not true. All companies have cash flow. They have people to pay. There's, you know, we get financed through Goldman Sachs, who's backing our investment companies, and they have legal requirements to be paid as well. And ain't that the truth? And so it's not an option for us to be able to just defer payments.
Right.
We're already in very serious talks about cutting budgets and doing what we can to reduce spending, because there is going to be a financial, in fact, there already is, because merchant services is how we make some of our money, and that has stopped. So there is already financial shortfalls for us as well. And as some of the smaller companies that aren't prepared for this kind of scenario, and you know, I don't think anybody ever had an emergency plan for a virus, right?
Right.
But some companies have a rainy day fund. Some people, you know, are just fiscally kind of conservative and have some backup in some way. Those people are going to be able to weather the storm. And in fact, I think there's actually going to be some great opportunities for people coming out on the other side. So for the people that do weather the storm, there's actually going to be some wonderful growth opportunities. At the same time, it's going to be horrific, to be blunt, for the people that are kind of in that mid-range. They're not big enough to have huge reserves. They're not so small that they still have jobs that back them up, because some people do this as kind of a side gig and they still have income. I'm mostly concerned about the people that are kind of somewhere in the middle. They're kind of a mid-range company. They're kind of hand to mouth and maybe have not built up those cash reserves yet. So those are the people that I'm most concerned for. And so when people say, you know, hey, you built the software and now you just make money on it, that's about as far from the truth as you can get. We have amazingly high overhead, and you know, programmers aren't cheap, and we don't want to lose those people, and we don't want to lose our amazing support team. So we're doing everything we can to keep our staff intact, so that we can keep helping people, because our entire team is working crazy hours right now because we're doing our normal development to keep up with all the requests and whatnot. But then to boot, we're trying to add extra features and fielding, quite frankly, a bunch of social media stuff, which eats up a lot of our personal time. So I guess my personal request to those watching is if you're having a true financial crisis and you're going to have troubles putting food on your plate, then contact us and we'll do whatever we can. We can't just globally stop taking payments. Then we won't be here for you when we come out on the other side. We'll go away just like everybody else will. So,
right. And that's been a continued message through all of these discussions, is that, I mean, we've had to lay staff off. I'm not taking a salary, but you got to make sure that your company survives, because we are going to come through this. And that is the big thing that I've said multiple times doing this format. We are going to get through this. But there's some caveats to that. It's how we come out of this. It's how you act now, and looking after your people and being responsible with your customers. I don't want to sit here and preach because I don't have all the answers. We're just here to create a platform for you guys to interact. And a lot of you are writing comments, so please keep those questions coming in. I'm not going to chastise somebody if they're trying to make that little bit of money just to keep their head above water. But the continuing reducing of prices and pushing stuff on customers, I personally don't think it's right. We should be doing more community outreach, getting our community involved, and if anything, coming together. And we need to make sure that those pillars of our industry are still there for when we come through. I strongly believe, I'm not sure about the party rental side of it, but certainly attractions, indoor centers, zoos, aquariums, bars, restaurants, bowling alleys. There's going to be such a boom on the back end of this because, I mean, I live by myself, so nobody's bothering me. But, people are pent up in their house with their kids and their dogs and their, grandparents or whoever that they're isolated with. And that grows tired pretty quickly. So people are, it's about positioning yourself for when that comes. And I strongly do believe that's coming. Kevin, I've just reminded myself, just touching upon community outreach and programs, and we've seen a few things posted here and there about what people are trying to do to connect local businesses in our local area. I've seen a lot of like the CPAs and professional services promoting all the independent restaurants and curbside pickup and things like that. What are you seeing there in Ohio, and are you involved with any initiatives yourself?
Yeah, I think it's sustainability, preserving cash flow for, a period of months. I mean, because your income is going to be very low and everybody's situation is different, whether you're a single operator, and you have another part-time or full-time income, and this is what you're doing, or if you're a business owner and you have multiple people working for you, that's when it becomes even more important to forecast that cash flow and make changes immediately, whether it's your financing or whether it's your, software, or whether it's your insurance, whatever it is. I mean, making those adjustments because you don't know how long this thing is going to last. And you can't wait till you've got, $5,000 in the bank and your cash flow monthly is $12,000 in overhead. It's too late. So, again, we've kind of buttoned things up, took the stance that we're going to shut down for a couple of weeks. We've unfortunately got a lot of people laid off. And in the industry, what you were alluding to, Mike, the servers and the bartenders, our restaurants and our bars are shut down. There's a lot of people laid off. Everybody's in the same boat. We've taken a solidarity approach with a lot of our hospitality professionals in the area that we work with every week, every day, sometimes. And our, I guess, mantra was emerge, cocoon things, hashtag emerge, make it to the other side, and try to develop from that and be better, I guess, or not even better, just be there is all we're asking. So we started a solidarity group. There's actually a website going live locally, Emerge Special Events, and more of a, like I said, a source of solidarity. We're going to do some live web streams from area bands that don't have the ability to play anymore for the crowds, local bands. We're also doing some, basically selling some T-shirts that are at cost just to kind of band together and show support to everybody locally here that's in the same situation.
Yeah, we're all in this together. Got some great questions while while you were talking there. Tony Atwell says, I'm just going to try something because I didn't realize there's a little button here that I can show this on screen. I don't know what's about to happen when I press this button, so let's find out. Oh, okay. Well, there's Tony. Multiple pictures. I'll read the rest of it. Once the government tells us it's now safe to resume as normal, how much additional time do you think the general public will take to remember what normal is? People will, of course, have reservations about trusting the safety of large crowds. Say we get the all clear in 4 weeks. How long after that do you really think it will be back to normal? Or at least the normal that we once knew it to be?
Mike, when we talked about safety, when everything was great, we talked about marketing yourself as a safe company and the communication and your message and everything that goes along with that over and above. We're a $99 bounce company. How can you promote the value that you provide as a company? And sanitation, the basically cleaning bounces. I think barring and large, if your price point's sustainable and you're working with clients that are giving you good reviews, and all of that's going to work together to kind of bridge that gap. Will people come back immediately? I think they're going to have some reservations, but it's all in your marketing message at that time. And I would preserve your efforts now when everybody's scared and running inside to emerge, I guess, use that same word again, emerge on the backside. Get a plan now. How do you want to market to your clients? And I think as a company, there's going to need to be some price increases to sustain.
Right.
You're going to have to make up ground and evaluate that. Unfortunately, in our industry, a chair has been $1 for a period of 10 years or more. What else out there has sustained the same cost for 10 years and not seen an increase?
Exactly.
And if it's a bounce house, if it's been $150 or whatever it is for the last 5 years, the cost of doing business just went up. How are you going to accommodate that? And are you going to have that increase to, compensate for the money you've lost? And
it was going up anyway, and it's an industry problem that there's been a race to the bottom for years. So that's where I'm thinking that this could be an opportunity, because the people that are operating out of their garage that aren't insured, they're not cleaning their equipment, a lot of those people are going to stop, right? So that's where I think that the people that are in these organizations that are getting onto these types of conference calls, these are the people that are going to survive. Everybody's going to feel the pain, but I think that, kind of by definition, the people that are caring enough to look at business and get into these groups, they are the ones that are going to survive. And that's where I believe that there's going to be opportunity. I don't know, but it's funny. I keep hearing people saying, if this ends in May, it's a disease. It's not going to happen on a particular day. This is always going to be a gradual thing. So I think just like everything else, there's going to be a bell curve.
Sorry,
go ahead. I was going to quickly comment from, again, just financial perspective. I think it comes down to none of us have a crystal ball. None of us know if this is going to be over with in a month or 2 months or 3. So from a financial perspective, look at your cash flow. If you're quite, to be blunt, if you're going to run out of money, you got to paint a picture, look at your business. If you've got to let people go or put people on furlough, which is a tough thing to do it. You don't want to go out of business, and then be strategic. Go to your local bank. There are right now, and I could send some information to Mike that he can share, publicly here. The SBA does have disaster loans available to help people in this tough time. Those are government-backed loans. So evaluate those options. Talk to your local bank or your banker on those programs if they are available to you. To do all you can to fight for your business. We're all business people. We all have mutual respect for each other. We all work hard every day to earn a living and help our clients. And we're all in this together, right? We're all upset. And this is, people don't talk about it in business, but it's emotional, right? You're upset, you're angered, you're scared, whatever your emotions are. Well, you got to take a moment, evaluate your finances, evaluate money going out versus money coming in. If money isn't coming in logically, how much money is going out? How do I limit that money going out? Or if I want to keep employees on, et cetera, can I get a loan through a bank or elsewhere to survive for 2, 3, 4 months, right? And no, we don't know. Again, no one has a crystal ball. Hey, we may not get back to our normal until November for all we know. We don't know. So just planning accordingly is all you can do. So just sharing my 2 cents on the topic and what I would do if I was in the shoes of the business owner. So, and
that's important. The unique thing about our sector of the attractions industry and events industry is that we come from somebody that's doing them out of their garage and has 2 or 3 bouncers to people that employ dozens and dozens of workers and corporate events, and there's the full range there. So maybe it's taking what you said, excuse me, to get a little bit more professional, to do cash flow projections, to know that this is the day that I run out of money. If I take these drastic actions, how long can we push that out? And it's taking those tough decisions so that your company survives, because if it doesn't survive, the hard choices you've got to make with vendors, suppliers, and your employees is that you're not going to be able to bring that business back. We all need to get through this. We've made terribly difficult decisions, and to tag on from that, it's how you deal with that as well that is really going to show how you're going to come through. I mean, with our staff, we've given them 2 weeks paid holiday, whether they've accrued it or not, and we're staggering it out to keep them going as long as possible. And they understand so that we can go as long as possible, because just like you guys and the rental companies, our income has just stopped, dead, zero. Projects are on hold. Financing of major parks has just stopped. So we've got to make sure that when we do get through this, that we're still there for you as one of the innovators in the industry, so that, let's be realistic. How good is next year going to be? How good is 2021 going to be? It's going to be a hell of a summer, I tell you. So people are going to want to have fun. I've talked my way out of my original point.
I think in summary, IAPA is going to be very different this year. And we had, some of the IAPA folks were in, just a couple of days ago talking about this. I think, a lot of this is going to be support, and talking with individuals. And, I don't think I've missed an IAPA in 20 years. Do I go to IAPA to buy new equipment every year? As much as I'd like to, we don't. But I more value the relationships that have been established with individuals that are working in the industry, right. Meeting. That's how I met you, Mike, and some of the other things that go on. But those relationships, I think, are being invaluable on sharing some. Let's call it co-opetition. We're all competitors, but how can we cooperate to maybe find some common ground? Unfortunately, in our industry, we don't have an association that is the Inflatable Association of America. But there is IAPA. There is American Rental Association. ARA has been producing some fantastic content to, provide resources for this COVID-19 deal. We're a member of that organization. Go to IAPA every year, and we have Ohio Inflatable Operators Association, which gives us a state voice. But again, it comes to co-opetition. You know, there's a lot of people in Ohio that we've been begging to come to the group, you know, and be a collective voice. But some people stand off at a distance and kind of watch, and then others jump in and try to help. And I think you got to come together. You got to come together for that stuff.
And that's a message that we've pushed for years. Certainly when, you know, we're selling products, and that's part of our business. So when people say, well, so-and-so has got one in my area, we'll take Meltdown or a Bull, for example. You can only be at that one event at that one time with your one piece of equipment. So we all need to work together and, you know, make sure that our prices are, you know, standardized to a certain point, and that we share and say, look, Kevin, you might have 2 Meltdown events this Saturday. I've got none. You know, and you work together. The amount of customers that do that and pay for their, well, don't pay for their equipment, have competitors technically buy their equipment through subleasing and sub-renting out the equipment. People need to take a step back with their business and see how do we do this together. I just wanted to touch upon, for people that don't know, I'm very highly connected with IAPA, more so than ARA. If anybody does know somebody from ARA that is willing to come on, I just don't know who to speak to or who to reach out to. So if you can put that in the comments below, or any suggestions, I'm more than willing to answer that. I still have my answer in my head from Tony's question about the new normal. And it's going to tie in with a bit of marketing and sales as well. I think your initial 20% of guests, visitors, people, customers, you look after those people. Those first early adopters that come back and get straight on it, they've got to be your ambassadors. You've got to look after them so well and get them to shout your name from the rooftops as, you know, they came back to you before anybody else did, to show, look, here's the confidence. We're throwing these birthday parties that we missed. We're throwing these graduations that we missed. And you look after those people, and that's going to bring it in. As for how events are going to differ, I don't know in terms of people watching how many people are actually hosting the events or just providing equipment for events. But I mean, my advice would be a staged approach to capacity of events, that it's reduced at first. And instead of going like, oh, let's just fill this place and people getting freaked out about being in a group, stagger those capacities and then just build it up so to regain that confidence. Because the more event videos and pictures that you get, that, oh look, there was 10 water slides and some games and things, but there was only, this is going to show how out of touch I am with events because I don't even know how these things are anymore, but if there was a reduced capacity, people are going to recognize that, but they're primarily going to see that the event happened in the first place. And then you just got to build on that and build on that until we're back to whatever this new normal is going to be. Comment came up, and I'll see if I can find it.
I know we had the comment from Abe Kaplan, and Abe, hey, feel for you in New York, and I know it's tough there. And if you are wondering what's maybe coming, look at New York and be prepared. I think, you know, looking ahead, just take it 1 month at a time. We've got graduations coming up, and I'm hoping we can salvage and continue to do a few graduations with, you know, tents, tables, chairs, and whatnot. But I know there's a real reality. There's a reality that might not happen. If that comes and goes, we're going to have to refocus on 4th of July. You know, what's that 4th of July holiday going to look like? And taking a look at, you know, if you've got corporate clients, you know, where are they at on your schedule, and what's the possibility that those jobs are going to continue. And, you know, again, take it month to month and see how you think your business is going to come out of this. And unfortunately, I mean, I've heard, you know, in some of the forums and groups, you know, bankruptcy. Nobody likes to think about it, but, you know, hey, what's going to happen? So prepare for whatever needs to happen, and do make your best decision making today. Forecast for that. You know, there is the small business loans from Small Business Administration. I'm not a big SBA fan. You know, I'm a more local bank guy. They work with you way more than anybody else does. But, you know, try to work with people to your insurance agent, your banker, your accountant, probably the 3 guys that should be on your phone or in your office right now.
Right. Yeah, that's absolutely solid advice. Craig, is there going to be, I know you sent me some files. Is there any links to them online that we can share with the group after we finish with the chat, or are they?
Oh, specifically on every time I pull it up, it covers the screens. I don't want to mess up your chat here, but there's the one that's SBA Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program. There's some hyperlinks directly to the SBA and how to apply online directly through that platform. I agree with Kevin 100%. Work with, typically your local banker has their bank programs, and they also have the ability to work through the SBA if that's a better fit for you.
SBA is very rigid and takes some time. It's not going to be completed in a day, probably not in a week, and probably a month. So, it takes some time. So that's not a magic fix it. And, be prepared. Start now. If you're looking for next month SBA funding, you better start yesterday.
Agreed. I will share an alternative product that not only Ascentium offers, so it isn't just pro Ascentium, it's just marketplace. There are short-term working capital loans available that are non-bank provided, non-SBA, non-bank, unsecured loans. Ascentium, our company, we go up to 50,000. I know of other syndication lenders that go up to 250,000. The great thing, to Kevin's point, is the speed. You can secure that money in a day, no embellishment, a day or two. And the money can be used for anything you want. It's literally a cash advance. The money is sent directly to the borrower, and then they could use that money for payroll, inventory, etc. The drawback, there's pros and cons to everything, right? Is that it's expensive money. It's not bank financing. It's not SBA financing. The typical APR is very high, 18 to 25%. So similar to a credit card, paid back over a shorter period of time, typically 6 to 24 months. Me and my seat, I don't typically promote that product. It's usually a last resort product. I say usually go to the bank first. But for those clients that either can't get a bank loan and they want to stay in business, and they, if this crisis lasts 3 to 6 months and you borrowed 50 grand and you paid back 62 to borrow it, which you're not thrilled about, but in 6 months you're still in business. If that's, it's a cash flow decision. So I share that for the right reasons. For those clients that need an alternative to bank financing, that product is available and very much viable, and we offer.
And hopefully we can reestablish income, because there's a lot of people at zero, and there's no lending product available that can be paid back unless you get your income back. And so that's, just sustaining that and trying to preserve cash now, do the best marketing efforts for later, and try to emerge from the other side. And, another comment, Gary Pincus from New York, it's tough there. It is really tough there. And it's catching up in Louisiana now and stuff too. The stimulus package has been presented to the Senate, has to be approved by the House. Maybe it's already been voted on today. I haven't checked up on it, but, approved by the House and then signed by the president. That very well could go back and be renegotiated. Who knows what the House has done with that, unless somebody else has, knowledge on that press conference. But hopefully there's some good things coming that maybe can help you till the other end of this zero income period, and get back to earning what you're used to be making each month. And historically, look back on last year. That's what you got to be comparing to.
Yeah. We've been telling everybody to look at their, year to date or month to date. Month to date is shot, obviously. Year to date depends on your area. Some of these states are being affected more than others. I guess I would urge everybody to try to stay nice on social media to the people that are still trying to make an income. There are some people that can weather this by just, cut down all your expenses and just, burn through your savings for a little bit. There are others that are truly hand to mouth, and I've seen some people just get ripped to shreds on some of these user groups for, taking a private rental in a backyard and getting torn to shreds that the neighbors will come over and spread a disease and whatnot. I really believe that this has to be a personal decision, both for you as a company owner. You have to do what you have to do to survive, and also for the customers and their particular area and where they stand. If you're in a hot spot, you should not be doing any rentals, right? But
Right.
if you're in an area that hasn't been affected yet, then it depends on your personal decision and where you stand in business. And I know I'm going to get lambasted for even suggesting this, because some people are just like, how irresponsible. So for those of you who know me, I fly paramotors for my big hobby.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody posted the other day, I went paramotoring because it's a single person activity done way away from people, and this is my outlet. And he actually got ripped apart, because what if he gets into an accident and ends up taking up a hospital bed for somebody that gets sick? There's a scale of how we should be reacting, and somewhere in the middle is probably.
It's usually the answer for most things, somewhere in the middle. I think.
And all the reports too. I mean, if you can do things outside, it's not a bad thing to go outside. You'll drive yourself nuts inside, But social distancing has been the norm, and that's what we're going to have to recover from as an industry. Coming out of this, the confidence in kids playing together, bouncing on bounces and whatnot. And I know there's been multiple comments, about hand sanitizers everywhere. Probably not a bad idea coming out of this. But definitely, social distancing. The press conference with our governor talked about golfing, and are you able to go out and golf? Yes, absolutely. If you're 6 foot apart from somebody, and the way I hit a golf ball, I'm easily 6 foot, if not 100 yards away from everybody else. So, and I think, maintaining a sense of humor through it all and stuff too. I know, it is serious. And if it hasn't affected your area, look at the comments from people in New York. It's going to continue. Seattle, take it seriously, but, understand it's beyond your control. It's nothing you did personally. Mental health, physical health, support, it's all got to be there. Fortunately, I got a beautiful woman I call my wife, and she's, there to help me out and stuff too. So, it's rely on family. So rely on the kids, and take care of your business so you can be there to provide for both your family and your kids. 6 months, and your life might be different 6 months from now. It's nothing you did. Just deal with it, move on, and take care of everybody.
I think there's a few little bits of advice before we wrap this up, because we've been chatting for a while now. I think the big shift, societal shift that we're going to get in this is, and I think it can only be a positive thing, is the cleanliness and sanitation of everything. I think, who mentioned it earlier on, Al Graber mentioned that, hand sanitizing stations are going to be more or less a regular, if not a standard fixture at most events. I don't think people are going to be scared of, in the long run, of coming together for events or being together. I think, if anything, there's going to be a more draw to it, because we're so distanced. I mean, we're in a relatively hot spot here in Manatee, Sarasota County in Florida, and I've actually been self-isolated now for a week, 6 days since last Saturday, and getting along fine. It's our local community here is, it's Florida. It's the where everybody comes to die, unfortunately. So we've got an aging community down here, and you guys up in Ohio and New York, you keep sending everyone down here. So it's just being mindful of your community, and I don't think anybody needs to lambast anybody else on social media or in person for decisions they make unless they are absolutely contravening laws or things that have been put in place. So if there is a stay-at-home thing, please, it is essential that you do so. And as much as we'd like to think so, unless you are doing emergency testing and tents, we are not an essential industry. I know I've seen a lot of what's happened in the UK over the past week since it got locked down a couple of days ago, and seeing how people are, you know, oh, due to the rules, I can deliver and, you know, set up because I'm a delivery guy now. I'm delivering. I'm not. Please, this is serious. The sooner that we all lock this down, the sooner we'll get through this. Every time I say serious, Siri on my computer keeps, there she goes again, keeps popping up. The final bit of advice would be, please take a break from social media. If anybody's like me and wants to scare themselves silly, if you've got an iPhone, go into your settings and have a look at your screen time. It will blow your mind. It doesn't hurt not to have the latest thing. You know, this is a rapidly developing situation. Hour by hour, things are changing, but they're not going to change hour by hour for you. So take a break, go get some fresh air, you know, stay away from the chat rooms or, you know, the message boards and groups and things for a while, and just, yeah, disconnect for a few minutes. It all, from somebody that's been in and around the house and not seen another soul apart from people on the internet, take it from me that it's nice just to, you know, read a book or something like that. I'm just gonna, Craig, have you got any further comments that you want to mention? I'm gonna scan through all the questions and see if there's anything I've missed, and then we'll wrap up. I'll
just piggyback off something you just said. I mean, I'll share something personal but positive, that this is a slower time in business. So we have to accept that, understand our finances. We've already covered that. I'm enjoying more time with my family. I'm leaving work a little bit earlier, enjoying time with my children. That I've been in go work a million hours a week for a couple of years, and so why not just pause, as you said, get some fresh air, kind of reevaluate what's important in life, and then when we all come out of this, maybe we're all. It sounds a little, I don't know, a little cliche, but a little better, you know, in terms of just maybe appreciating the things that matter a little more. And I mean that genuinely. I mean, obviously, I'm here to talk about finances, and I did, but I think it's important to, we're all people. We're all business people on this. Let's all respect each other. Let's all try to be decent to one another. We're all in similar boats. And but for those, last quick comment on an optimistic side, for those people that are, a lot of most incredible businesses were started in crises. Uber, right? A lot of amazing companies. So the true entrepreneur views this as maybe opportunity to innovate and change and grow something new. So I share that as not a specific idea. I'm speaking generally about, don't let that, yes, we have moments of being down, but think outside the box right now, entrepreneurs. Think about what's the new, someone should be starting a deal. Someone, I read the comments, hand sanitizer comment. Who's going to start the next hand sanitizer rental business? That maybe the
next big thing's dumpster roll-off rentals.
There we go. So I'll stop there.
Right, Rob.
Good comes from that.
It's working really well.
Right. Just to wrap this up, just as a bit of context on ourselves. Even though I'm fully fledged American now, obviously my accent indicates that I'm not from these shores originally. But we, even though this is our 30th year as Galaxy, we set up the factory in Florida on September the 1st, 2008. And we thrived after that. So there is going to be opportunity after this. There is reason to be optimistic. You know, there is going to be a change in society, very similar to 9/11. You mean that didn't stop people living or working in skyscrapers. And I'm not comparing this to 9/11. I could go down a rabbit hole there. I don't want to get myself in trouble. But I just want to end this on a more of a positive note. Look after each other. Be kind in person, on social media. Be safe. And we'll be doing more of these shows we're trying to do 2 shows a week. I'm trying to do Tuesday or Wednesday and a Friday. The Friday I'm going to try keep as a party rental specific show, and then we'll have some interesting guests in the midweek you can maybe learn from and just connect this whole fun industry for the most part that we work in. I'd like to thank Rob, Craig, and Kevin. This video will upload to Facebook, and it will be available on YouTube. We will post links to the SBA information we talked about, and we'll try and get back and keep the conversation going, and we'll try add and create a resource for people to get more information.
Mike, one thing with the British influence and the American influence that I learned through all of this is that canceled is both British and American. The American preference is CANCELLED, if I spelled that right? Correct? And then the British version is CALC. I'm screwing myself up now. CANCELED. So 2 L's or 1 L. It's either British or American.
I tell you what, somebody that grew up learning that, everything was on the metric system. I mean, the UK is slightly strangely positioned that we still use miles and we still talk in feet sometimes, but it is the metric system. Having known all that and then coming to move and live in the US 12 years ago, I don't know whether I'm spelling something right at all. If it's wrong, then it's the English version. If it's right, it's the American version. I'm just, Hey,
I started cooking, and how many cups are in a quart, or how many quarts in a gallon, and you learn all that stuff that you didn't really know you would use. And when you start, crock pot cooking, it's good stuff.
I know people. The amount that I use, I'm typically British, and the fact that I use mate and things like that. People are, oh, my name's not Matt or Mark, and I'm like, okay, never mind. But all right, guys, we could ramble on for hours. We were going to do this again. Please look after yourselves and tune in for the next one. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you soon.